In sports, the scoreboard doesn't tell the full story, but Netflix does. Stories about dads who happen to be world-class quarterbacks and a battle for the heart, soul, and direction of the multi-billion-dollar business of F1. Whether you're a diehard fan or you're brand new, Netflix has the stories for every type of fan. You can watch these incredible sports stories like Quarterback, F1 Drive to Survive, Untold, and many more now on Netflix.
Welcome to the Scarlets Supporters Pembrokeshire podcast. Okay, so welcome to episode two of the Scarlets Supporters Pembrokeshire podcast. Joining me this week is my good friend Martin. How's it going, March?
I'm all right. You good yourself?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. So loads of stuff to talk about this week and loads of stuff to crack. Finally back playing rugby. But before we start that, I mean, the feedback from last week has been really, really good. But the question that keeps coming up 3 or 4 times has been, who are you? Who are you? Yeah. Well, I went through it I did realise it when I put the podcast out and I listened back to it and I went, yeah, I haven't actually said who I am. So just so everybody knows who I am, my name's Lee. I am Lee Griff. I played for, who did I play for? Quins, Tenby, county, coached county schools and things like that. So I've done a fair bit over the years, and I'm doing it involved in the Scarlets. I'm not involved in the Scarlet structure, but my boy is in the Scarlet structure. So that's kind of how I'm here. So Lee Griff is usually how people know me. So March, just kind of, how are you? What's your connection to the Scarlets, mate?
My connection to the Scarlets is the first game I ever went to was, I think, Ponty FA Cup final back in the old National Stadium, and I'm originally Ponty boy, but a bit of my heart has always been with Llanelli ever since, and now I'm living down in the area. I'm just sticking with it all throughout.
So how long ago was that then? Because blimey, when did we play Ponty? That would have been
96, 97, I think.
Was it?
Oh, yeah, something like that. I'm not the oldest person in the world, but I was a little kipper back then. Like,
this is going to make me feel really old because I was in uni in Cardiff then, so I would have probably been at that match. I'd have just been half cut before kickoff, so I wouldn't have remembered much of it. So right. So let's kick off with a review of last weekend. First things first, fantastic just our players back on the pitch. Yeah, it was, having been through what everyone's been through, to see so many sides actually get back on the pitch must have been a bit of a relief for everyone. Do you know what I mean? It was.
Yeah, it must have been brilliant, because I think it was only the one postponement with Llangwm that everyone else managed to come out firing. And we had some cracking results, in all fairness.
Yeah, it was. But I sat there on Saturday morning. I was going, okay, looking down everything, and then the heavens opened, and you just like,
as they do.
Yeah, you can tell rugby season's back because we're in the middle of a hosepipe ban, and my garden has gone from a lovely green colour to a pale brown because everything's died. And then one game of rugby, and it's absolutely hurling it down. And it was, you've got to feel for those players that have been training in like 30-degree heat through the summer.
Then, every Friday they've been going to Pembrey Country Park, having a nice little relax on the beach, and now they're not used to this.
So yeah, but it was good to see people back on the pitch. So going from the top, then going down. So Narberth was. I thought the Narberth game was quite good. I thought it was good to see Narberth actually get off to a winning start. They won 16-3 against Ystrad Rhondda. Pretty much a shutout. I think that penalty was in the first half, but that's good result for Narberth. First game of the season.
Yeah, it's a good. It is a good start. I mean, they finished 5th in the curtailed season last year, a few places above Astrad. But starting the season fresh is always good to get that first victory under your belt.
And they put a few young players. This is one of the things that I'm picking up talking to clubs is there's a lot of young players have not been forced into it, but they've been kind of accelerated through the system because a lot of the older boys just gone, they've used COVID as a bit of a cut-off and gone, I don't want to spend the time doing fitness to get back into it. Some of the younger boys have been coming through and given their opportunity. Narberth put, a few younger guys on the pitch. And fair's fair, they stuck at it. They did well, So next on the list was Aberystwyth. Now we got to decide where does Pembrokeshire finish? Because Pembrokeshire doesn't finish in Aberystwyth. But if we include Aberystwyth, then technically we got to include Newcastle Emlyn, and if we include Newcastle Emlyn, then we got to include Aberaeron. So, Pembrokeshire's.
Oh, I'll include Aberaeron. I wouldn't include Newcastle Emlyn. Different district, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think Newcastle Emlyn is just one of those places that it's literally on the border of all three.
Yeah.
Because
there's a little bridge in the town, and you go from Carmarthen trying to Cardigan.
Yeah.
And then there's another part that comes into Pembroke. It's amazing.
Yeah, but then it's very easy for them to, like you say, when it comes to who's going to change areas and stuff. Newcastle Emlyn always seems to move around.
Pop it under.
Yeah, but the Aberystwyth score. I put the Aberystwyth score in there just because it's kind of part of the Scarlets region. And again, a good win against Pink Cloud. 1913. I know a lot of the local sides, Crymych, Pembroke, Whitland, will be looking at the Aberystwyth score because they were one of the boys that were there to be shot down last year, and I think they're probably going to be pretty close to the top of the table again this year. So, it was a good win. I think once they get the uni boys back in a couple of weeks' time, I think they'll crack on again, isn't it? So, and next on the list then is Newcastle Emlyn and Crymych. And
I've got to say, I think this is the result of the round because Newcastle they just missed out on the title because of a fixture that couldn't be fulfilled, and I think they only lost the one game in all of last season. And for Crymych to come out and take on their own patch, I think it's pretty outstanding for them.
Yeah, and we said last week that that game is always, it's not really a local derby, but for Crymych, anywhere within a 30-mile radius is a close to a local derby, and Newcastle Emlyn is always just one of those fixtures that they just seem to go at it hammer and tongs, don't they? So, like you say, to come out
gets the blood boiling.
It does, and there's a lot of exchange between the two clubs as well, and I think that always just adds to a little bit of flavour on the day. But for me, in that fixture, young guy on the wing making his debut, Oshan Hill, who, how old would he be now? 18, 19. The guy's quick. He's got hands. He's got a lovely boot on him. So for him to get on the scoreboard, I'm sure it was his debut. That's for him. That's dream debut stuff against, like you say, a side that pretty much is going to be at the top with Aberystwyth. Cracking result.
Llangennith as well.
Yeah, well, that's next. Well, I mean, gosh, if you're Pembroke and you're looking at that on paper, 1166, of all the fixtures to start, you see, we know Pembroke are struggling. They went up 4 divisions in as many years, and and then a lot of the boys that kind of took them up to that level were naturally finishing the end of their career anyway. So they've lost a lot of the players that took them up. So the fact that they're still battling, they're still, they're not giving up. It's to put 11 points against Llangennech is quite good. Getting 66 put against you is a bit of a shame, but
look at the positives. Look at the positives.
Yeah, I don't think we should read too much into that result. I think come the middle of the season, if that game would have been middle of the season, it would have been less significant, if that makes sense. But it is a shame for them. But I think they will crack on, and I think come the end of the season, they may well. We don't actually know if there's relegation at the end of this year, because there was all sorts of rumours going around whether there's relegation or whether there's not, because they're going to restructure.
Personally, I don't think there's going to be any sort of relegation this year. They've already confirmed that the Premiership is increasing in numbers, so I think that's automatically going to put everyone, if not an extra promotion spot in every league, then at least no relegation. And then there's supposed plans of splitting the Championship into 2 divisions as well, which would put everything up in the air completely again.
Yeah. So for Pembroke, it's not going to be that. It's more of a development season again, isn't it? It's about developing that young, and it was a young side that Pembroke have got that come next year when maybe you actually need it. That's when it's really going to count. But yeah, it absolutely lashed down on Saturday for Pembroke, and I don't think that helped them either. So it's just going to put it behind you and move on, sort of thing, isn't it? But the next result, Vellinvoyle and Whitland. Now I was surprised at this one. What did you think of this one?
Yeah, I when I first saw it, I kind of had to have a double take. It's just like, for Vellinvoyle to win, fair enough. Obviously, anyone can win on the day, but for that sort of margin, I was a bit dumbfounded, to be honest.
Well, 52-3 was a score. Now, I've never known Whitland not score tries. Do you know what I mean? And every time I played against Whitland, if you can get anywhere near their try line, you're doing well. And it's a hard-fought battle. I don't understand something's gone wrong in Whitland, because you don't lose by that. They should have been getting ready to go back up a division. Realistically, it wasn't that long ago where Whitland were toe-to-toe with Narberth week on week. So to be losing 52-3 to Vellinvoyle, I don't know. If there's any Whitland supporters out there that want to come and have a conversation about what's going on at Whitland, by all means, do give us a shout, because we need to know what's going on there. So next on the list, then, Tenby and Mumbles. That sounds like
spicy.
So I've read a couple of reports and spoken to a couple of people from that game, and it sounded like a really, really good. When it's that close, it was a good game.
Well, yeah, you get the last 5-10 minutes of a game like that, and everyone is just on the edge pushing for it.
And to have that as your first game of the season, that really sets you up for the season. It was a battling win. It's not a comfortable win, but you kind of get yourself together after that, don't you? I think that's going to really kick them on for the rest of the season now. It's and it's going to boost the crowd, because you enjoy watching those games, don't you?
But I think the real big question that comes when you think of Tenby and Mumbles is, where would you rather spend your weekend?
I think it's more, where can you afford to spend your weekend? So next, then, T. Croix and Milford.
Disappointing, I'd say.
Yeah, and Milford were they were toe-to-toe with Pembroke in terms of going up divisions for a while, and they seem to have stalled. And
sort of petered out, do they?
Yeah, and Milford's always, it's a big place, it's a big town, it's got a lot of boys playing, but you just kind of think they should be doing better than what they are. It's a
Well,
bit like, go on.
well, in all fairness to Christ, I don't know much about the senior setup. But what I can say is their minis and their juniors are outstanding. They'll put in like 3 or 4 teams out at different age levels. It's quite intimidating to think of what they may be capable of doing in a few years' time.
Mm. And I think that kind of gives you an idea of the club itself, doesn't it? It really says to you,
Yeah.
this is, they're being run well. So, like you say, if that first team goes up in a couple of years' time, there's going to be enough players there to kind of sustain it and stuff, isn't it? So,
yeah,
good. So next, then Ponta del Ice 25, Fishguard 8. And those of you that listened to the podcast last week would hear me have a chat with Chris Susha, the legend that is Chris Susha, and he got carded. I've never known Sush get carded before. He knows the rule book inside out. I've literally seen him stand there and discuss with the referee, and the referee go, "Oh, fair enough. Yeah, I got that bit wrong." He's the nicest guy. So to get a yellow card, I think he had it for not releasing or something like that. So, he's going to be gutted about that, and he's going to thank me for bringing it up and making sure everybody knows. But
well, it could have been mistaken identity, wrong place, wrong time. Who knows these things?
Yeah, not with a face like that. It's not. But gutted for Fishguard. I know how hard they've worked. So yeah, it's one of those things. I'm sure they'll come back from that because they've got a good.
One game doesn't mean much, especially the first game of the season. You can wipe it off and look forward.
Yeah. So next we got Harford West. They lost 15-12 to St Clair's.
Again, top of the table clash from last season. Oh.
But same again. You look at the size of Harford West. The town, the amount of people that they've got to pick from, and then you look at St Clair's and you think, just on numbers, they shouldn't be in this league. They should be higher up. So, I'll be honest, I don't know who Harford West got coaching at the minute. I don't know what the setup is there, but it's one of those things that, we'll find out a bit more through the season. And I'm hoping it's just a rusty start to the year because, we need sides like Harford West to really be pushing on and to be, flying the flag for Pembrokeshire. So, yeah. But
they must have been thinking after going unbeaten last season that they were going to be very much the same coming into this one and looking forward to promotion into next year. But the plans seem to have gone awry straight away.
Yeah. But then, full credit to St Clair's, still a relatively young club. So to start beating sides like Harford West, they're going to be over the moon, And
they have got a pretty good coaching setup down there. I think it was Tim Poole was there a few years ago. He's a cracking coach, and now Rodri Jones. He's obviously he's involved with the Scarlets and the 16s West, as you know, and they've got everything ready from the coaching side of things. It's just whether or not they got the players to match the plan.
Yeah, I mean that might be a bit of a lesson for some of those other bigger sides. That if sides like St Clair's can really show up and do that sort of stuff, then there's no excuse for the bigger towns to do it as well. So, and the flip side of that, Neyland beating Llanybother, Neyland, and not a small win, 30 points to 13. Again, Neyland is a small place. It's a tiny little town, and you got to look at it sometimes and go, you do well to put out a first team, boys. So to put out a first team that's taking somebody apart 30 points to 13, fair play. That's a good score, and hopefully, they'll crack on with that for the rest of the season. So yeah, cracking game now.
Well done, Neyland.
Yeah. So next up, then Quins 27, Cardigan 20. So we spoke to the boys down at Quins last week, and they were over the moon that the fitness phase of pre-season had finished. But what they said was, they put the fitness in and they expect to win games in the last 10 minutes. And that's exactly what your second game on the trot now, where those last 10 minutes have really done them well. So again, young side, I don't think there's many boys there over 30. It's a really young side, similar to Pembroke, that I think they're just going to grow as a team as they go through the season. I think they're going to come up against a lot harder games. But, fair play, if they can keep digging in and they can keep those last 10 minutes, if they're within a couple of points in those last 10 minutes, I wouldn't be surprised to see them putting in a few more scores like that through the season. So, fair play to them. And then lastly, my probably not necessarily my favourite score, but my favourite match report. And I say that taking it off Facebook. So St Davids lost 28-0 to Larne.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what it is about St David's, and I love the fact that this happens. I think it's because it's so far away, and it's a definite bus journey. You've all got to go on
it's
the
as
bus.
far west as you can go, innit?
Yeah. So Larne had a fancy dress night after the game on Saturday, which was I think it was shorts and ties was the call for the night. But every time you go to St David's, no matter what the score is, it's a bloody good night. So, and I think Larne really suffered on Sunday morning when they were trying to get up, because it looked like a really good night for them. So, fair play, cracking. Right. So, I'm just going to pause there for a second minute, because I've had that 10-minute warning that I had last night. So, if it just suddenly goes down, I'll
come back.
Yeah, I'll send another invite, and then we'll just come back on. Okay. So I'll finish that one so I can. I didn't do the fixtures. Right, we'll do the Scarlets.
We can do on the next bit, man. Don't worry.
Yeah. So a cracking night for Larne, and I'm sure whoever visits St David's for the rest of the season is going to do exactly the same thing. I'm
do their best on the day and then go for the piss up afterwards. It sounds awesome.
Yeah, do you know what? I think St David's should start like some kind of league as to who comes with the best fancy dress. Like, it should be compulsory that if you're going to play St David's away and you're playing at St David's, then it should be compulsory that somebody goes in fancy dress, and we should keep a list of what all the fancy dresses through the season, because I remember playing there, and I think that one time we went with wigs. Everybody had to bring a wig for the first one, and then I don't know why, but the second time we did it, we all had to go in kipper ties and skirts. And I remember it was Christmas, and I remember it was cold. and
when in Rome, as they say.
Yeah, but I say every time I've been to St David's, I've had a really, really good night. I can't remember much from them, but I think we won. But it's I think So fair play, boys, fair play. Right. So the only other game to review from last weekend then was the big one, which Scarlets and the Bears. What did you make of the game, Matt?
I enjoyed it. To be fair, I thought we saw quite a lot of good intent from the boys coming back, especially for a first outing. And I know everyone's already raving about Via Fafita, but I was really, really impressed with Thomas Lozana again and Dav Hughes. I thought that they were both outstanding throughout the match. I mean, Lozana, he just does not stop. And he seems to have added that Jacqueline to his game now, because he picked up a good few turnovers as well.
And I think that's what he was missing last season, wasn't it? He's a big, strong... Yeah. I think we played him a fair few times at 6 last year as well, didn't we? and because he is that big, bulky kind of a player, and we used to Cubby, and we used to Josh kind of doing those, a good 2 or 3 turnovers a game. So if he's adding that to his game, we can only go from strength to strength there, really, can't we?
Yeah, I can only say I'm just so happy Argentina haven't taken him to the Rugby Championships.
Yet. Haven't taken him yet.
Oh, don't go saying stuff like that now. Come
on. No, it's one of those things, isn't it, where you always want them to get the kind of the recognition they deserve, but then there's also that bit of going, well, can you not do it when we're playing Leinster or Munster? Because that would be a lot.
Basically, yeah. Well, that's what we're going to have in the end of next month now, isn't it? Because all the Wales boys are going to be going off, and we still got Leinster to play in the last game before the internationals.
But then, is that going to work in our favour? Because we're not massively stacked with internationals where we used to be, and Leinster are always going to lose, half of their side for international windows. So,
in all fairness, Leinster can field 3 sides and probably not drop a level.
It's a good point. But then, I think everybody's kind of catching up, slowly catching up. I think the bringing the South African sides in has sent everybody up a notch. And I think we've kind of gone, actually, now we've got to compete with the Irish sides and the South African sides. We need to go up a bit. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, I thought in the short term that the South Africans, like the big 4 coming in, might have been a bit of a negative. But seeing how they didn't perform that strongly against us in our style of rugby at the start of the year, I think it's going to be an interesting addition.
So I think the advent of some of those South African sides, I think we're going to benefit. I think you could see it in Dwayne's reaction when we came back from South Africa, that he was like, he's still got that bit of dog about him. Do you know what? When he used to be on a pitch and he'd be going up against like the 6'6" second row and barking at him like a dog, and he's still got a little bit of that about him as a coach. And
I don't think he's quite ready to start playing really, and he's still got that fire in his belly. Because you could see it in I know that the COVID cancelled the first tour, but he took every single boy he had with him out there. He had intent of trying to smash those boys right up straight from the start.
And I think a lot of the younger boys, when we talk about the preview for next week, a lot of the younger boys that came on against the Bears, I don't remember any of them sitting there and going, oh yeah, he doesn't deserve his place on the pitch. Do you know what I mean? They came on, and the one guy that I was really impressed with was Luca Giannini. Simply because, you're coming on to replace Callum Afoni, and I think he's 18, 19.
Yeah, he's a Finecki Wanderer boy, he is.
Yeah, and he's got a bit of something about him, he's got a bit of, he's a bit of a workhorse. He's a nice guy, but yeah, it would have been really easy to come on and kind of shrink, but
go in your shell a bit, yeah.
Yeah, but I was really impressed with him, and it was nice to see some Pembrokeshire boys on the pitch. Archie Hughes, I think we need a nickname for Archie Hughes because he looks like he needs his mum's permission every time he walks on the pitch. Do you know what I mean?
You mean?
And can you imagine putting him on a pitch with Costello?
Because he'd be laughed off, man.
It would be like your youth boys. You're a bit short. You're on the wrong pitch. The youth are playing on the back, But fair play to him. Costello would have been there, but he's done his.
I know he pulled up late, didn't he?
Yeah, I think it's his knee or something to do with his leg, isn't it? But yeah, I look forward to it. It's like having 2 Milky Bar kids. It's the Milky Bar boys, when those 2 are on the pitch. And, fair play to them. Every time
they don't hold back. I mean, Costello, from what I've seen, is one of the best tackling tens I've seen inside Wales for a long time.
Yeah, and when you're up close to him, he is solid. He is rock solid. There's
I
not
think there's a lot of similarities, like physically, between him and Ryan Combia. They're both very stocky boys.
yeah,
Like they may not look like there's much to them, but you're not going to go through them.
no, no. And when I say when you look at him and you go, yeah, you might be short, but I'm not going to chance a smart ass comment. I'm just going to call you Mr. Costello, sir, and just accept that. I'm going to walk on by, sort of thing. But
Yeah, there's no
yeah.
Sammy. Come get my latte, will you bet?
But I think it was a shame. I think this was going to be his season. I really do think it was going to be his season, and I'm a little bit worried now at 10 because if he's crocked, Patch, is he going to make it back?
He's been 30-70 for about 2 years now.
Yeah.
And, when you're not even 50-50, they like we've just given him a year extension as well. And I think the 1 year was very smart, going into the World Cup and all that for him personally as well. Because if he manages to stay fit and does it, then he's going to be doing it for us. But then he'll have the chance to, go off to France or Japan or whatever and make his money after the next World Cup. But yeah, it is a massive worry looking at because like Dan Jones I think he's only just come back from I think it's a knee injury as well. Because I was quite surprised to see him in pre-season a few weeks ago. I thought he might have been out for a couple of months.
But then we need somebody at 10 that Patch is one of the most creative 6-foot gingers on the planet, and every time he gets a ball, you just have that feeling that something's going to happen, and it's deceptive because he's so tall, and he looks a bit lanky and a bit gangly, and you think, oh,
yeah, the very very rangy motion to how he moves around as well.
yeah, but he's one of the top try scoring 10s in the country, and
Oh,
when he's on,
he's got a turn of pace on him as well. Fair play. You don't think it, but his acceleration once he puts his foot down over that first 10 meters, he blows most people away.
yeah, exactly. And I think that's what we need. We need him back. I genuinely thought that this was going to be Costello's season to kind of put his hand up and take over. And with the best will in the world, Dinky's always going to be the backup. You know, he's rock solid. His kick in is on point, and
when he had his first few games, he's he's mid-20s now, so it's a few years ago. I think it was something like 25-all at home against Munster in the last minute, and he slotted the final kick for the win. Oh,
yeah,
the feeling in there that time was awesome, and he was literally a kid. He was still in nappies at that time, and
but he's never going to be your talisman. Do you know what I mean? He's he's
that solid
player.
club player who you have in the squad. He's pivotal to the whole squad, but you don't really see him as much as your main man.
And when you've got Patchell fit and you've got Costello fit, and you're always like expecting something. Costello, you're just expecting a sidestep and a jink and a bit of a chip through, and you're expecting to be entertained. So I like Dinky. I don't know a Scarlet fan that doesn't like Dinky. Do you know what I mean? But
I like him.
Yeah, I worry if Patch is injured, if Costello's injury turns out to be something a bit more, where do we go next? We're literally down into academy boys already at the
yeah. I think Josh Phillips is the next boy off the rank then, and he's playing most of his rugby at 15 for Nestle, so it's not exactly the best breeding ground at the minute for 10s.
But then, did you see the footage of his kick for Nestle on Saturday?
I haven't seen nothing.
So
I've read the reports, and that's also Connectly beating Swansea. Well, especially about a bit of a bad few seasons, and to start off with a massive game like that and put in a hell of a victory. In all fairness to them, and I heard Josh Phillips' kick in was really pivotal to that game.
Yeah, well, he slotted a penalty from the halfway, So
in these conditions. Wow.
Yeah. So, we're waiting for Halfpenny to come back to give us that long range kick. It might be the season actually that somebody like Josh steps up and just puts a hand up and goes, right, okay, here I am. You sometimes that sort of stuff happens, doesn't it? And
it's just obviously if it is a case of Patchell being out for most of the season, as he has been for a while, and Costello's injury being a little bit more, I can see it happening. But outside of that, I'm struggling to see a place for him, because if you think he plays most of his rugby at 15 and then 10, we are well stocked at fullback, especially now Tom Rogers being used effectively there, more or less. I'm not going to say permanently, because, once Halfpenny and McNichol are fully fit, there's going to be accommodations for him to move on to the wing and whatnot. But I can't see a space coming at fullback for a little while.
Well, maybe that's what we can do next week. We can go through the squad and just look at that squad, and we'll be all ready for the Ospreys game. I've already had abuse for the Ospreys game. I'm fully intent on taking my Ospreys friend to the game and putting him in the middle of a couple of well-known shouters and just going, right, you're on your own, pal, and I'll see you after the game.
Walk around to the other. Yeah, leave him in the midst of the North Stand, and then you go over to the South for a watch.
Yeah, and I'll sit in the bar for an hour. I'll come pick you up after. But so that'll be good next week, actually, to go through the squad and just go, who is injured, who's available, and who do we think is going to, we still got a couple of internationals to come back. And I don't know why Harry O'Connor isn't. I know he went with the squad, the Welsh squad, on the summer tour, but he wasn't. He wasn't used. He was only ever going to be there as an experienced
tackle shield.
Yeah, and it's for a young player like that. It's great to be involved in the summer squad, but then this is his season to come and push on. Again, we're well stocked in the front row. We've got some rock solid boys in the front row. And I'd say we can probably put out 3 pretty solid front rows. And he's in that mix. And he's the sort of guy that wants to be there, putting his hand up, and, he wants to be the number one. He's not here to be a number 2 or a number 3. He wants to be the number 1. And then we take him away to South Africa. We don't give him a cap. And then he's going to miss the first.
Yeah, I was kind of annoyed about that, especially when they talk about the 60 cap rule and favouring the home base player. Okay, maybe Sam Wainwright did show up better in training and whatnot, but it would have been nice to give the home boy 5-10 minutes, even if it's only the one scrum in the end of the third test, because the game was gone in the last 15-20 minutes anyway.
Yeah. But so maybe we'll have a chat about that. Let's say the Bristol game, I said before the game, I don't think we should read too much into it. I'll be honest, I kind of changed my tune a little bit at halftime. I was kind of like, well, maybe we should be looking a bit, but no, I think it's they're always going to be pre-season games. It's just about seeing the youngsters and new boys settling in. People like everybody wanted to see Fafita. And he gave him a show for the first half. Fair play. So we'll have a chat about the Dragons game in a minute. But I thought it was enough. And to be that close, it was quite good. So
and when we talk about pre-season, I think Peely said in his interview afterwards, last season we beat Leicester in a pre-season game, and they didn't have half bad season, did they?
Yeah, exactly. And after that, I remember coming the day after and talking to a couple of Osprey supporters, and just going like, "Oh, who have you boys beat then?" Do you know what I mean? My head was the size of a house at that point last year. I thought if we'd have gone into the World Cup, that there was a chance that the Scarlets could have won the World Cup, let alone the Heineken. But it was
you were thinking back to the days of David James putting the Leicester Tigers to the sword now.
Yeah, But it's easy to get carried away in it. With pre-season games, it's easy to get carried away and just, you know, every now and again, you just got to look at Cardiff and go, well, we could have got pasted by Gloucester. So, yeah, it could have been a lot worse. Could have been a lot worse. So let's have a little chat then about what's coming up this weekend, because we're second. Scarlets haven't started their season yet, and local sides are going to be second week. So who's got who this week? Let me get my little bit here now. So, well, first things up, before we start with the weekend, Scarlets West have got a game on Wednesday. Now, yeah, I keep trying to confirm it, but I haven't been able to, because the last Scarlets West game kind of turned into a training game, and nobody really.
Yeah, I was there because it was in Sirgar. They had the East and they had Ospreys East as well.
Yeah,
it was moved. It was moved pretty late. I think it was only the day or two beforehand that because I'm pretty sure the West were meant to be playing at home up in St Clears, and then they ended up down here in Fletchley.
Yeah, and I found, and that's why I'm a little bit confused as to what's going on. But as it stands at the minute, that game's on Wednesday, again against Ospreys East, 7:15 at St Clears. So maybe the first one was arranged as a training game, and this is the actual one, or I don't know. So we'll try and confirm that on the Facebook page.
Yeah, I think last week, when was it? About 2 weeks ago now, wasn't it? I think that was everyone's first hit out, because I don't think that they've all confirmed their actual squads for the season as of yet.
And it is difficult with schools not going back yet, so they're not really going to know, who is around and who isn't. So, yeah. But, this is the place to go and see the next generation. So if anyone's in the area, it'll be at St Clair's, 7:15
Wednesday evening.
Yeah, and well worth, for nothing else, the St Clair's cup of tea. Now, I can fully recommend the St Clair's cup of tea, because I don't know why, but best cup of tea in the county, as far as I'm concerned, even though it's just outside. But you know what I mean. So, maybe we'll do that through the season as well. Who's got the best cup of tea?
Best cuppa, best car park, best clubhouse, best cuppa.
Best shirt, worst shirt is what we should do. Who's got the best kit, and who's got the worst kit?
You shouldn't. I don't think you should do the best kit. It's always up in the air. Too many people with too many different likes. The worst kit, I think everyone can agree on a worst kit.
Oh, I'm feeling a couple of posts on Facebook coming up for that one, mate. Who's got the worst kit? So, obviously, then we got the Scarlets game on Friday, and then we go into the weekend. So, running down the weekend, Narberth away to Glamorgan Wanderers. What do you reckon of that one?
I reckon they're going to have fun. I've played on the Memorial Ground myself. It is a wide pitch. I've always been a front row forward, but I love playing on a wide pitch. It's so much fun.
You're a disguised front row forward is what it is, mate. Or you're more of a winger hiding inside a front row body. I think that's how it goes.
Yes, that's it. That is it. I've always wondered what I was.
See, I was a fullback hiding inside a number 8. But I was always one of those ones where you boys carry on and do the rucking and the mauling and all that kind of stuff. And when you're finished with all of that, and there's a line in front of you for me to dive over, I love the ball then. Just give me the ball when you've done the hard work.
DPR take 2, will you?
Yeah. So yeah, it is a tough game of Glamorgan Wanderers away. It's never an easy game up there, but fingers crossed. Particularly if the weather stays horrendous, Narberth might pull something off. I think they might. I really do. Now we've got Cromwell at home to Aberystwyth.
I think this could be a big game this week. This could be a big game when it comes to decide. Obviously, not deciding the league right now, but deciding where we think it's going to be heading. Because both had incredible performances this past weekend. and now it's time to back it up.
And I think for Crummock, having, they're always ambitious. So to have two top sides this early in the season and, to come off turning over Newcastle Emlyn and then to, right, okay, let's go and do a job on Aberystwyth. And let's be honest, nobody likes playing in Crummock because, Christ alive, if you think the weather's bad in the normal planet and then you go up to Crummock and it's got its own, it's its own ecosystem up there. Last time I played up there, right, so I live in Pembroke. I left Pembroke, honest to God, I left Pembroke in a t-shirt, shorts, a pair of sunglasses on. And I said to the boy when we left the house, I said, I'm just going to take a jumper because it's always quite chilly up in Crummock. And there was a hail shower. We got to Crummock and at half time it started hailing. So, and that was a start of the season a couple of seasons ago. So,
you can't like that.
So, it is a bit of a fortress. Crummock is a fortress. Nobody likes playing there, apart from the Crummock boys. So, yeah, fingers crossed. I think they're in for a good start to the season. Then we've got Pembroke away to Hendy. So,
They go.
Yeah, at some point, Pembroke are going to click.
You hope.
Yeah, it's they've got to at some point. There's just got to be something's going to click, and at some point those players are going to go, all right, yeah, I get it now, and that confidence will grow and they'll crack on. So I can't see it happening anytime soon. I'll be honest. I think it's going to take a couple of games, but you never know. Yeah, you never know.
I mean, I think Hendy are going to have their backs up as well because they took a 22-10 loss down to Gowerton. So, I think both Hendy and Pembroke are probably going to have a fire lit up their arses for this coming weekend. And it could be something interesting.
Yeah, and sometimes you need a bit of a battle to get your troops together, don't you? So, yeah, it could be an interesting one. Interesting. Whitland at home to Gowerton. I think that's impossible to call. We just don't know what's going on with Whitland at the minute, do we?
No.
A couple of seasons ago, you'd have said Whitland will walk all over them, but who knows? Who knows?
Well, if you look at the results from this weekend and then you think to try and forecast to predict the score, you'd be putting your money on Gowerton just basing it off the score lines. But it's like you said, we don't know where Whitland are.
Yeah. And I think, 2 or 3 games into the season, we'll start to have a good idea of where everyone is. And then maybe we can talk about Whitland some more. But, yeah, it's, again, one to look out for on the weekend. Then we've got Tenby away to Carmarthen Athletic. How are you going to call that one?
I'm stuck now. I don't know what to think. Because Carmarthen Athletic, they were meant to be playing in Buryport on Saturday just gone, but that game got called off. So I really don't know. I mean,
it's hard to say.
Carmarthen Athletic, they've got amazing facilities. I can say that they've got outside of Parkes Cars, they've got the only barn in the bloody region. So they should be doing well, but I probably fancy. I fancy Tenby to do it. Go on, why not?
Okay, we'll put that one down. Okay, so Fishguard at home to T Croix. I'm going Fishguard on that one. You still with me, mate?
Yeah, I'm still with you.
I've lost your picture, I have, so I can't see what's there.
I've swapped over to my notes to try and get all the results up. So
there you go.
I'm back. Yes.
Yes.
Again, there's not enough information out there to make a proper call, is there?
No, but if the wind is blowing off the sea, and
as it normally is,
In Fishguard, yeah, it could be absolutely dead everywhere else, and the wind will be blowing straight down that pitch. It plays a factor, and Fishguard know how to use it. Do you know what I mean? So
That's the point, especially with your community clubs. You got you a pitch, you know the conditions, you know where the pitch runs downhill. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
exactly. Yeah, and let's hope that Susha can avoid another yellow card, because if he can't, I'm gonna have a chat next week. So,
has he got a bill to pay for that yellow card?
well, he did promise. He said as long as the round is under a tenner, the beers are on him. So, I'm thinking I need to pop up again and have a chat in the bar. So. So another home game, Milford and Bury Port. So who called the Bury Port game off last week? Do we know?
I haven't got a clue.
I didn't see anything about it either. So maybe they're struggling, maybe they're not. Maybe it was Kamala struggling.
Like my kids are in the Bury Port minis, and as far as I can tell, the seniors are still thriving. They've still got loads of boys turning up to training, and it's just I'm a bit perplexed as to why that game went.
Because you just assume that Carmarthen Athletic, with 30 odd thousand people in the town, they can strap 15 boys together and put them on a pitch. You'd assume. So yeah, so maybe something there, but again, I think we'll know a bit more in a
this weekend.
Yeah, but
cool. If Milford get called off, or if Tenby get called off, I think we'll have we'll be able to put our finger on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if the game does go ahead, then it is the same Bury Port team from last season. I'm expecting a comfortable win for them.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on that one. So Aberaeron and St Davids. Now my question here is if everybody's got to go in fancy dress to St Davids.
Yes, St David's got to go back.
Yeah,
it's only fair.
I think it's only fair. Absolutely, and I think we should be the ones to call what St David's go fancy dresses. I'll wait until I do the interview at St David's before I tell them that we're going to be in control of what their fancy dress is. I think.
But should we just pick one or two players every other week just to do it, just so they just look like complete randomers walking around this foreign town?
I think the St David's front row this week should have to go with a fake moustache. Let's start easy and let's go either painted on or stuck on. But St David's front row need to be in a fake moustache when they come back from Aberaeron.
And if they've already got moustaches, they got to go clean.
That's I hadn't thought that one. Yeah, I don't actually know who they got in the front row. So just you front row boys are easy to pick on because you go, let's do something stupid. And normally a prop will go, okay, yeah, I'll do that. So, I can't see St. David's turning over Aberaeron away. It's just, I think they'll struggle there.
They had a massive win away to Tregaron as well, Aberaeron did. I think it was 66-17, so they're probably expecting a similar scoreline.
Yeah. Cardigan, they're at home to Tregaron as well. Again, Cardigan just over the border, so I've kind of included them because, in that Division West 3, pretty much everyone in there is of interest anyway. So, at home to Tregaron.
You normally call in the 6 games regardless, every week for that division.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I'd expect Cardigan to, at home. Yeah, I can't see them losing massively. I think that'll be a tight game, but I think Tregaron, I don't know, I think they might just turn them, but I say second game of the season, hard to say, but I guess we'll find out. So Larne and Haverfordwest. Now again, Larne, another one of those pitches. If you're not stone cold sober, you cannot find your way to the Larne pitch, and I speak from experience in that. So Yeah, Haverfordwest. I don't know. Haverfordwest should be playing a division above, and they should,
100%.
Yeah, I just cannot work out why they're in that division, and that's no disrespect to Larne. Larne is a really, really small place that does well to.
It's a lovely place to go.
Yeah, especially for a couple of beers. It's a little bit St Davids kind of esque in the sense that everybody, you've got to get there on a bus because you can't find your way there without the rest of the team. You certainly can't find your way back. So yeah, it's always a good place to go. But yeah, I'm going to put that one down as a home win to Larne on that. We've got Langham and Neyland, a bit of a local derby there.
Neyland.
I think so. I think Langham do well to get a team together. Quins away to Llanybother. I think that's a real good test for the Quins. I do. I hope they come away with a win because they deserve it. But yeah, I'm going to go with a win simply because I want to win the whiskey jar at half time. So when I used to play for the Quins, this is on last week's one, that every week there was a bottle of whiskey half-time raffle, and I've seen about 6-7 people win it and give it back. Oh no, you're all right, boys, give it back. But that was 20-odd years ago, and that bottle of whiskey is still doing the rounds. it's now behind the bar. I'm sure of it. I'm sure it's the same one. So I'm always going to back the Quins because at some point I want to win that bottle of whiskey. just see what it's like.
You were going to be the one person that doesn't give it back, aren't you?
Oh, I can imagine opening it and just like wiping out the entire bar, just off the fumes. Just let the fumes go. But, and then we got Sinclair's.
We'll have another pandemic now.
There'll be no one left at Penrose Quins. And then the last game to look at then is Sinclair's and Lampeter. And I think that's a home win again. I think that's quite.
They'll be flying high, especially after last week's win.
Yeah. So,
like I said, they've got a good coaching setup, so there's no reason why. Well, I think if there's anything like last season, and that win over Haverfordwest, I think they've shown that it probably is. I think St Clair's more or less set for the top, if not, bang on first. Cool.
Right. So we're going to scoot through the next bit, mate, because that 10-minute warning's come up again. So we're going to do. I know. I'm going to try and find a better way of doing this. Hang on. It's upgrade to pro. Fuck off. Upgrade to pro. So we'll just do a really quick kind of preview of the Dragons game, and then and then we're not going to. So so the only other game to look at then for next week. Scarlets and Dragons. What you make of that?
I'm expecting Taylor Davis to start. That's the first thing I've got to say. He's got to start, haven't he?
Oh, I can see him challenging for Ken's spot through the season. I really can. I think I got a lot of time for him. I really do.
I think his performances last year down with the Dragons were top notch, and I think they've actually downgraded signing Bradley Roberts. I think Taylor Davis is a step above. I mean, I don't see there being much between him and Elliot D if you're looking at that sort of pecking order right now.
And at least we'll know the line-out calls. But no, when you look at the attitude of him, and the work rate that he gets through, I've never seen him come off a pitch not dripping wet. Do you know what I mean? And the guy, he puts a shift in, and that's what you need. But I think the big question for this weekend is, two big questions. One, how many players are fit and able to get on the pitch? And two, has anybody actually done any tackling practice this week? Because, Jesus Lord, I know it's pre-season. I know it's, that intensity isn't there. But somebody's got to start tackling somewhere. Do you know what I mean? Let's use the Dragons game. Every time we get the ball, kick it back to them, let them run at us, and let's have 60-odd minutes of tackle practice in a live game, ready for the rest of the season, and then just score a couple of tries in the last 20. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know if the new 15-minute tackle law has come in yet, but 15 minutes of contact training every week is not enough, especially not at pre-season levels. I know they're doing all they can for concussion, but from my point of view, it should be a case of you should be doing more tackling, not less, to get your technique and your positioning right. Not taking less time. So any errors you've got, we'll work on it next week, or we'll work on it after the game. It just don't make sense to me.
No. Well, I think that's the big bit that I'm looking for, certainly from this game, is I fully expect to see quite a lot of the academy players out there. I don't blame a couple of the older boys, the likes of Foxy and what have you, and Scott Williams, from going, do you know what, I've probably only got 7 or 8 games in me this season, so I'm going to pick and choose which games they are. Do you know what I mean? They're not young whippersnappers.
Yeah.
And somebody's got to come and really show them, push them for their place this year. And that's what I hope to see from the Dragons. The last thing I want to see is the Dragons win, because I just spent far too long ripping the piss out of the Dragons.
We can lose to almost any team, barring Zebra and Dragons. Anyone else, I can hold my head up and go, okay, fair enough. But those are the two. You just look at yourself in the mirror and you go, well, why do I do this to myself?
Yeah. Can I get away with being a Cardiff supporter for a week? No, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. Mate, fantastic for this week. Thank you so much for your conversation this week. Loads to look forward to for the coming weekend. I will be putting posts out to see who goes to St Davids in fancy dress and what fancy dress is. I feel a theme building through the season of fancy dress and St Davids and various other clubs. But maybe that's something we'll catch up with next week. In the meantime, mate, thank you for your time, and I'll speak to you next week.
Awesome. It's been great on the show, and I hope I'm back next week.
Fantastic. You have been listening to the Scarlets Supporters Pembrokeshire podcast. You can find us on our Facebook page, Scarlet Supporters Pembrokeshire, and message us through there. We'll be back next week with more information about Pembrokeshire rugby, Scarlets rugby, and the pathway between the two.
Sports Social Podcast Network.